Hello, everybody.
Hey, we're live.
Hey, we're live.
Very cool.
It was super smooth. I need like a remote control for this thing.
Yeah, right? Seriously, we need like a magic button.
Hey, y'all. We just finished our last class tonight. It's Mr. Egger and Mrs. Cabrera.
How's it going, guys?
I almost said that wrong. I almost said Mrs. Egger and Mr. Cabrera. That would have been weird.
I get called Mrs. Egger like 50% of the time anyways. It's common.
Yeah. Oh, well.
It happens.
I get a yes, sir, every now and again, too.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, today we wanted to go over the power of self-reliance because our powerful word of the month for March has been self-reliance, and we kind of wanted to give some general tips on how to instill, the practice of self-reliance in your kids and your students. I don't know, maybe even in yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to start... everything that I have is based on this book that I read a few years ago, which I found to be really, really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Called Parenting with Love and Logic.
Very nice.
Which is a great book. I can throw the Amazon link up in here later if you're looking for it. But the whole basis of the book is that you want to let your kids figure out the natural consequences for messing up while they're still with you and there's still a safety net of sorts.
An umbrella.
Right. And so one of the first examples that they give in the book, which I've actually used this exact same situation with my son on more than one occasion, is that, okay, you tell your kid, hey, it's cold outside, I want you to go get a jacket. And the kid says...
I don't want her to wear a jacket.
Exactly.
And they freak out.
Because they're Florida children and they don't even want to wear pants, let alone jackets, right?
I have excuses to wear jackets like all year round.
Hey, Mr. Cabrera, hey, look here.
Hey.
I've got my iPad going here so I can see when people talk.
Yo.
What up? So the kid says, look, I don't want to wear a jacket. And what do we as parents naturally tend to respond to that as?
Wear your jacket.
Go get your jacket. Go get your jacket or you're not, go get your jacket or there's consequence.
Some sort of consequence.
Right? But the idea of the book, of Parenting with Love and Logic, is that the consequence of not getting your jacket is that your kid's going to go out and be cold.
And freeze. Right?
So they learn the natural consequences of these mistakes. So then the next time they go, I want my jacket because it's cold and it was unpleasant and uncomfortable last time. So the love part of it is that I love my kid enough to draw appropriate boundaries. Yeah. And not just let them do whatever they want.
Exactly. And
the logic part of it is I'm going to let my kid follow their actions through to the logical conclusion within the safety net of childhood. If my kid wants to run across the highway, I'm not going to let them experience the natural conclusion of getting hit by a truck. That's not where we're at. But the jacket kind of thing is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, and I think what that does is it kind of instills, a sort of guideline for making good decisions, because it kind of it gives them enough responsibility to where they feel independent and confident from it, but they can also kind of gain an understanding of cause and effect, and it just really shows them how life operates, and it's just a really good way to do it, and especially from when they're such a young age.
Exactly.
You don't want to keep them sheltered the whole time like we were talking about, and let them go figure it out when it's too late, because that's not good. But kind of giving them a sense of that independence will help them to be self-reliant and challenge themselves to make good decisions, because they'll figure out that the effect of making a good decision is worth it and it's fulfilling.
Well, we all know those kids. We all grew up with at least one of those kids who was super, super sheltered their whole childhood, and then they went off to go try to be an adult and had no idea what they were doing. Or they had that parent who pressed down and was super hard on them, tiger parent their whole childhood. And then they went off, and the first thing they did as an adult was rebel in every way possible and make every mistake that they could. And the idea of it is you want your kids to learn to make good choices while the stakes are still low. Low risk. Exactly.
It really is, yeah.
And so the other piece of that, though, the other piece that they mention in the book is that you want to model self-reliance for them, because you tell your kid, hey, I need you to clean up, right? Right. And they go, well, you never do anything, right? Because I know I have a tendency as a parent to do everything after my kids are in bed because it's easier, right? Because what happens when you're trying to get stuff done with kids in the room?
Right, it doesn't happen. It's hard.
So it's so much easier to just, go to bed, and then I'll clean the kitchen
Right.
after they go to bed, or then I'll mop the floor after they're in bed. But the consequence of that is they don't see you doing the work.
Exactly.
And so what are they going to do?
They're not going to do the work either.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, well, mommy doesn't do the work, so why would I do the work, right? So you want to make sure, even though it's a pain in the butt to do stuff with kids in the room, it's a pain in the butt to work around your little helpers who are not really helping, you want to make sure that they're still seeing you do the work, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not the whole job and you don't get to finish it,
Right.
just even showing them like the self-discipline to start something and to work around the challenges will help them to model off good behavior, because it's really important to show good behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So remember, we actually, to rehearse for this, we watched a video from our own Dr. Robin, who is Dr. Robin Silverman's the creator of the Power Forward system that we use here at Sidekicks.
She's awesome.
Really amazing. Have you ever seen her speak in person?
I haven't.
She is so smart.
Yeah.
She is so smart.
I've seen so many videos. She's really smart.
But the best point that she made, I think, was this one, which was...
Yeah, don't do everything for them.
Yeah.
If you spend the whole time, if they're not following, their directions or not doing something exactly how you want to, if you just take over for them and do it for them, they're not really gonna develop that sense of self-reliance. They're always gonna think, okay, well, if I don't do it, right on the first time, or if I don't understand it, someone's always gonna do it for me. And it kind of takes away the whole self-confidence factor.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Absolutely.
Because there's a certain amount of self-confidence that you have to have in order to be self-reliant. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to go out and try to take care of yourself, because you're like, well, I'm just going to screw it up, so
someone else takes it up for me. Yeah.
You know what I find, like, convicting on this one is, like, my kids are sweeping the floor, right? They've spilled Cheerios all over the floor, which I swear 80% of the Cheerios that I buy go onto the floor. I had Cheerio rage for a while last month and just, like, stopped buying them because, like, they're all on the floor. Why am I buying Cheerios? So they spill Cheerios all over the floor, and I tell them, hey guys, can you please go get the broom and sweep up the Cheerios?
Right.
And they're doing it, what? One Cheerio at a time.
Picking.
And it's so easy to just go, oh my God, just give me the broom and let me do it, right? But what message does that send to your kid when you just take over their job for them?
Yeah, that someone's always going to do it for them. That doesn't, they can be dependent on somebody else.
Or that they're not doing it right, so, I'm just a screw up anyway, so what does it matter, right?
Exactly, and that's just, not going to instill, positive self-talk, positive self-talk.
Exactly. So parents, here's the hard moment for you and the hard moment for me. You gotta let them do it themselves. You can't take over and do it for them. And you gotta let them watch you doing the work so that they can see that you're doing it too, because everything that we want our kids to do, we have to make sure that we're doing ourselves too.
Yeah, because these are the opportunities they're going to have, to really, learn how to believe in themselves and learn about themselves and how they operate. And if we take away those opportunities for them to kind of grow and learn on their own, then they're not going to be able to get the confidence, from making those good decisions or making the correct choices or doing things correctly. And that's just such a pivotal part of child development, is having those self-earned moments of confidence.
Gabrielle's here. Hi, Hudson.
Hi, how's it going? Hi, Hudson.
One of the major points that you brought, I was getting all philosophical talking about this book and Dr. Robin and all that stuff, and Cameron looks at me and goes, yeah, you know what it means? It means they gotta practice at home. I went, yes!
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Mr. Eggers bringing it back to practicality.
Oh, yes, I love the whole concept of practicing at home. In fact, practicing at home is like half of what we do here. When you're a student of martial arts, when you come to class, those are the times you check in to learn about what you're covering, what you should be practicing at home. Like, what we do here is 50% of a student's martial arts journey. And it's also a really, really good opportunity to gain confidence from self-reliance, because if you're at home as a student and you're practicing on your own, it really shows in class. Like, it shows, especially when you test for a new belt or test for a stripe. Usually us as instructors, we can tell when someone's practicing at home because it really shows.
I actually read something online the other day, and it was a quote from a book that said, talent is passion pursued.
I like that. That's
right?
awesome.
So you can be passionate about anything, but you're never going to be good at it unless you actually go out and chase it and work for it. And I don't know how many times, how many times do we run across talented kids, naturally talented kids who are good at lots of stuff, but who don't really chase any one of those one things, so they end up being kind of good at a lot of stuff, but not amazing at anything, despite the fact that they're really, really talented kids.
We see it all the time.
So talent is really passion pursued. You gotta chase after that thing that you want to be great at. And if martial arts is what you want to be great at, and we think it's something that everybody should be great at,
absolutely,
then you got to make sure that you're putting in the work. And how are you putting in the work?
By practicing at home.
And if you practice at home, you have
practice every day.
Self-reliance.
It's self-reliance. Absolutely.
Self-reliance.
Yeah. What's so important about practicing at home is like I said, it really shows when it comes time to test and it comes time for stripes. So this is the opportunity. Like, these are the things we really want the kids to look forward to, is when they go to test for a stripe, when they test for a belt. And we want the praise that we give them for doing a good job to be that confidence booster. Yep. And we want them to take that and run with it. We want them to be chasing that praise and be chasing that confidence they get from practicing at home. We want to really establish a hard work ethic, because if they work hard and they know that when they work hard they're going to get rewards from it, they tend to work a little bit harder and they work on their own more often. Yeah, and just like anything else, if you're practicing, learning self-reliance in martial arts, where again the stakes are relatively low in the classroom, this is the time to let them learn and grow those wings and maybe fail and maybe stumble and learn to pick themselves back up when they're still with you, when the stakes are low, when they're in class instead of defending themselves out in the world, when they're living at home with mom and dad, where the worst thing that happens is I get cold because I wouldn't put my coat on. We want them to make those mistakes now, so that when they're older, they go out and make the right choices on their own, because they're already used to making the right choices on their own. Yeah. We don't want them to go out into being an adult or even a teenager, where stakes can be life and death, as we get older and freedoms increase. You want your kid to already be used to making the right choice on their own, instead of having mom and dad constantly telling them what the right thing to do is. And be equipped with that skill set in order to make those decisions on their own.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one of the things that I tell this story in class all the time about a time when I failed the belt testing because I wasn't putting hard work in. I didn't, I let myself slip, and it happens to every one of us who's done martial arts. There'll be times where we have personal failures. And one thing I always have testified to, and not even when I teach classes, or this is to everybody, is that when I failed that belt testing, it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, because it really showed me the cause and effect that hard work puts in, and being self-reliance. Because after that moment, I realized that if I put in that hard work and I'm relying on myself and I practiced at home and I worked hard, I realized that the stakes were, I had the stakes against me if I didn't do that. So it was a great pivotal moment. It's one of those things where, one of those opportunities in challenges, personal challenges, that I really gained self-confidence from. And so that's why, when we talk about self-reliance, I try to pass on that hard work ethic and the personal lessons that, setbacks can teach us.
Yeah, absolutely. Fail young, fail early, fail often, fail forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Fail forward for sure.
All right. It has been really great talking to you guys. I hope that you got some value out of this, something that you can use. Again, I'll try to remember when I get home tonight to put the Amazon link for the book that I was talking about here in the comments. Or you can hit me up at the school. I'm always here. You know where to find us, right?
You live here. This
yes.
is the spot to be at.
I'm getting ready to roll out my cot and just go to bed right there on the main floor.
Yeah, we got a big, comfy floor to sleep on. So
nice. All right. We will see you guys in class this week. And have a good night.
See you guys later.